Welcome to today's episode where we pay tribute to the modern master of animation and live action, Brad Bird. Brad Bird is a master of animation and live action alike. The range of his career is unparalleled by most and serves as an inspiration for those who love all forms of cinema.
Combine one flavor with another, and something new was created.
When Brad Bird was toiling away in the bowels of the newly formed Cal Arts Animation Department, alongside such generational talents as Henry Selick, John Lasseter, and Tim Burton, he would have most likely found it exceedingly difficult to conceive of a career in filmmaking, while he was nose-deep in 1,000 reams of celluloid animation sheets per day. A career that spans an early apprenticeship inside the hollowed halls and cramped cubicles of Disney's 9 old men, to an exceptionally influential graduating class of animators at Cal Arts, to a member of Matt Groening's original creative team for The Simpsons, to establishing the global pedigree of pre-Disney acquired Pixar, to staging and executing multiple behemoth live-action set pieces, including one that features Tom Cruise actually scaling the face of the Burj Khalifa itself.
"22 minutes to door knock."
Yet more than 30 years later, Bird is now widely considered to be one of the modern masters of animation and one of cinema's few remaining bastions of original, high-concept, big-screen storytelling. He's the man behind a pair of movies which helped to elevate the creative standard of Pixar in Ratatouille and The Incredibles. He is the creator of the signature dramatic achievement, The Iron Giant. He is the writer and director of 2 hugely ambitious live-action adventure stories in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and Tomorrowland. Bird is currently preparing to realize a concept that he has been working on for decades, an original animated sci-fi noir called Ray Gun, which will be produced by the recently created Skydance Animation Studio. There's no one in all of contemporary filmmaking quite like Brad Bird. His defining directorial qualities include his immense creative imagination, his huge amount of passion for all forms of artistic expression, and his inherent belief in cinema as a kinetic, symphonic storytelling device. His ability to stage cinematic set pieces which manage to thrill the audience as much as they reveal character through action, is truly only rivaled by the Steven Spielbergs and George Millers of the world.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your stress.
Beginnings. Bird has said that the first time he watched Disney's The Jungle Book was a life-changing moment of unshakable epiphany for him. The perceptive young Bird took particular notice of the nuanced and highly characterized details that the Disney animators were imbuing into the behavior of the movie's anthropomorphic lead characters. He was immediately spellbound by the notion that somewhere out in the world there was a person whose job it was to sit down with a pencil and a sheet of paper and figure out how, not just a panther, but a stuffy panther would contort itself around the jungle.
Frankly, you're a disreputable sight.
Well, you don't look exactly like a basket of fruit yourself.
With this new dream of being an animator clearly formed in his mind, Bird began making his own animated shorts at home. When he was roughly 13 years old, Bird sent in a brief animated adaptation of The Tortoise and the Hare directly to his heroes, Walt Disney Animation's original team of animators, a legendary cohort affectionately referred to as the 9 Old Men. Remarkably, the veteran group of animators were impressed enough with Bird's work that they offered him an unofficial apprenticeship of sorts, in which he was offered an open-door policy to come and observe their process. This unprecedented opportunity provided a young Bird with an unparalleled head start on most of his animation contemporaries and allowed him to develop a well-earned sense of respect for the level of craftsmanship that is required for anyone to master the art of hand-drawn animation. Movement, character, and caricature. Bird's fundamental creative core is that of an animator first and foremost. His early fixation with the medium of animation molded him into a filmmaker who is principally concerned with three formal elements of visual storytelling: movement, character, and caricature. His general sensibility as a storyteller is exuberant, but never frantic and overly showy in the way that most mainstream Western animation tends to be nowadays. In his animated work, Bird upholds a constant mantra of not having movement for movement's sake. Every physical choice that an animated character in a Brad Bird movie makes is informed by that character's specific psychological and emotional state in the precise moment that they are on screen. For example, Bird himself has pointed to an unforgettable moment from The Incredibles in which Dash runs across the jungle floor at top speed, hurtles headlong into a lake, and much to his surprise notices that his feet are continuing to propel him across the surface of the water. Bird claims that in the original edit of this sequence, Dash casually glides improbably across the lake's surface and makes no facial or physical indication that he ever expected a different result. For Bird, this effortlessly cool visual alone simply did not justify the scene's existence in terms of its character development for Dash. The joy that animation affords is found in the moment in which the audience can recognize in Dash's facial expression that he himself is gloriously surprised at his newfound ability to achieve this unbelievable feat of super speed. This insistence on always dovetailing the physical movements of his characters with a kind of internal emotional logic is the result of Bird's long-held philosophy that the magic of animation is found in the medium's ability to distill fundamental human truths into their purest form of physical expression, otherwise known as caricature. Bird considers the act of animation to be the illusion of life through color, sound, movement, and caricature. He is drawn to the act of engineering this ineffable sensation of wonder that the medium of animation is uniquely capable of conveying, better than any other medium in the world. High concept, higher emotion. While conceiving his adaptation of Ted Hughes' classic sci-fi novel, The Iron Giant, Bird hit upon a deeply resonant conceptual quandary that carried him through the production of his belatedly acclaimed movie, What If a Gun Had a Soul? The gun in this case refers to the Iron Giant himself. Bird's adaptation centers the emotional weight of the story on the relationship between the movie's young protagonist Hogarth and his titanic mechanical friend from beyond the stars. The story of a boy and his dog, or alien or robot, being hunted down by the powers that be is one that has been told countless times, the most well-known example likely being E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Bird applies his singular voice as a screenwriter to this tried and true storytelling structure in two distinct ways. First, in his overtly political commentary on the global military-industrial complex, and second, the immensely effective emotional intimacy that he achieves in his depiction of Hogarth and the Iron Giant's friendship. The villainous agent Kent Mansley, a character who represents the quintessential corruption of the American government, views the titular childlike giant as a threat to national security that needs to be neutralized or forcibly harnessed for the government's own militaristic purposes.
General, the giant seems to follow whatever attacks it. We can lure it away from the town, then destroy it.
Hogarth is a child of divorce who stays up late watching monster movies, desperately wishing for a companion whenever his mother is away at work. Little does he know that a 100-foot-tall robot from space is precisely the friend that he needs. The development of this tender, mostly unspoken relationship between boy and beast is constantly at odds with the relentless manhunt being carried out by Agent Mansley and the might of the American military, bringing the film's third act to a devastating crescendo of unwanted violence. More than any of the fun high-concept sci-fi elements found in The Iron Giant, these personal, political, and emotional aspects of the story are what makes Bird's movie a timeless classic. Around the time of making The Iron Giant, Bird was struck by another brilliant piece of inspiration when the concept of a superpowered family unit called The Incredibles started to percolate in his mind. The initial idea arose when Bird was pondering the different roles that each member of the nuclear family was traditionally expected to play. The father is supposed to be strong and dependable. The mother is constantly being pulled in 10 different directions at once. The teenage daughter is overly defensive and wishes that she could just hide away from the world. The young boy is an endless ball of manic energy, and the baby is a complete unknown.
We have to stop him! Throw something!
This conceit of the family superpowers being a manifestation of their individual personalities and roles within the family unit instantly fulfills Bird's maxim for avoiding movement for movement's sake. But perhaps even more importantly, it grounds his globe-trotting 60s-style espionage action-adventure with a sense of relatable family drama. The fundamental conflict of The Incredibles is ultimately that Bob, Mr. Incredible, can't cope with the mundane sense of suburban malaise that post-superhero family life has boxed him into. The dialogue spoken in the living room argument scene, in which Bob and Helen, Elastigirl, have it out over everything from Bob's desperate attempts to recapture his superhero glory days at the expense of the family's safety, to Dash's upcoming intermediate graduation ceremony, which Bob considers to be a celebration of mediocrity, all feels almost uncomfortable true to life.
From the 4th grade to the 5th grade.
It's a ceremony!
It's psychotic. They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity, but if someone is...
If one were to cut and paste the scene into a Noah Baumbach movie or a tonally equivalent indie family drama, it would not be out of place at all. This is one of Bird's greatest strengths. No matter how bombastic the stakes of his stories are, or what fantastical leaps in logic the genres that he prefers to work and require, Bird's characters are always the focus of his propulsive narratives.
What I say is true. Anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great.
Anyone can cook. Of all the illustrious work that Bird has done in his storied career as a writer-director, no other film he has worked on articulates his burning passion for art and his deep-seated belief in the unimpeachable value of pursuing one's dreams better than Ratatouille. The story of Remy the rat, following the whisper of his heart from the rain-splashed gutters to the kitchens of his hero Chef Cousteau's legendary fine dining establishment, encompasses all of the core themes that Bird has always been actively concerned with as a storyteller.
And nobody's noticing? It's your restaurant. Do something!
What can I do? I am a figment of your imagination.
Bird is the kind of artist who values fearless innovation, an undying commitment to one's constitutional beliefs, and unabashed clarity of creative vision. his multimedia genre and medium-hopping career is proof that one doesn't have to choose between ambition and soul, or between intelligence and mass appeal. So here's hoping that Brad Bird will get to continue telling his stories on the biggest and most intimate canvas possible.
What are you talking about? You are Elastigirl! My God, pull yourself together!
Additionally, here's hoping that Edna E. Mode, an iconic character that Bird himself voices, will someday return to the big screen again. Please and thank you, Mr. Bird.